So after attending a couple of hackathons, we realized that there were no girls coming to build technology. And again, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
We then decided, oh, you know what, let's just host our own all-female hackathon. So we then go out into the communities and, encourage these girls to take a chance on themselves. And this hackathon, basically, the purpose of it was to ensure that our girls... I then started to think about Silicon Valley. What is Silicon Valley? How about we build our own Silicon Valley in Africa? Once you find your purpose, it'll always,
it's always following you. It's burning. It's a burning desire.
It's a burning desire, and we just couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I had to do something about it. Yeah. And as you get older, your dreams change as well, right? Especially after doing more charity work. Then I realized that, okay, as much as I'm here and I need this, do I really need to do the full journey? Not all your mentors will serve, the same purpose, and not all of them will give you, the same amount of skills or experience or knowledge, right? But the biggest thing, it all starts with you. People will naturally gravitate towards you as well as your leadership style, because personally, I believe, as a leader, you're the best leader when you are breeding other leaders.
Africa rise today.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Africa Rising Leadership Conversations. Today, I am not alone, but first let me introduce myself. My name is Nomazibulo Tshanga. I am your host for Africa Rising Leadership Conversations. I am not alone. I am with Tinyiko Simbine, and she is the co-founder as well as the COO of GirlCode South Africa. She's here to unpack her leadership journey and the realities of building impact-driven business in Africa, and really what it takes to build as a woman in terms of shaping the digital future. So she's going to talk about her journey, the business that she's built, and this conversation could not have come at the right time, where industries are focused on digitization, AI, and just the influence and how digital literacy and AI is shaping the future, how we do things, how we think about things, and creating efficiencies in our operations. So it's such a well thought idea that you came up with. I'm interested to learn where this all began. But before this, we need to talk about the woman behind the vision. Who is Tinyiko, and where are you from? Just tell us about you.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. So who is Tinyiko? Finance graduate with a passion for helping others. And after working in corporate, then decided to push my purpose towards the tech sector, especially after realizing the gender gap in the industry, which didn't make sense, because when we were in varsity, there were girls who studied computer sciences. So why were they not in the workplace, right? And essentially then we and my co-founder decided to do something about it.
Yes. So where did the idea spark? Besides the fact that there's, there's a gender gap that you had identified. The love and the passion, because there must be an element of love, or is it coming from the fact that you saw a gap in the market? Like a typical entrepreneur would do, you find a gap in the market and you see how best you can then contribute to the market.
I think the spark came after attending a couple of hackathons. So a hackathon is an event where a group of either young people come together to build towards a specific idea to solve a real life problem. So after attending a couple of hackathons, we realized that there were no girls coming to build technology. And again, it didn't make sense. We then decided, oh, you know what, let's just host our own all-female hackathon. And we just hosted it, invited a couple of girls. We didn't expect anything of it. And then the next year, the girls who had attended were then calling us and asking us, hey, when is the next GirlCode hackathon? We're like, oh, wow. So people are actually open to attending this.
Yeah.
And then, then fast forward a couple of years later, we decided to not just host hackathons, especially after hosting the largest all-female in South Africa.
Wow.
So after that success, then we decided to basically become accredited and start, training women and finding more opportunities for females in, the STEM space, because you always have this burning desire.
Yeah.
Once you find your purpose, it'll always,
it's always following you. It's burning. It's a burning desire.
It's a burning desire, and we just couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I had to do something about it. Yeah.
Okay, but before we get, delve deeper into the conversation about STEM and the AI and how you pivoted, right? Because I believe your business is doing amazing, amazing work, which is what we're going to get into. Tell me about Tinyiko as a young girl. Like, what did that look like? What shaped you as a person and as a leader?
Yes, Tinyiko as a young person, always been super brave. Always willing, to challenge the unknown, take risks, and not follow, the norms. I've always pushed myself to do better. I've always had a passion for numbers as well, hence why the finance background, and did a lot of charity work from a young age, hence why I still help people in what I do.
What influenced or who influenced you in terms of charity work? Because, let's be honest, back then, they were not called corporate social responsibility. And sometimes we didn't even have the language for it in terms of charity work. All you knew is that you are helping a community or whatever the case may be. But there must have been an influence or someone that you saw this from. Where did that love for giving back come from?
Absolutely. So it actually came about when my co-founder actually started something when we were in varsity, where we were tutoring students in underprivileged backgrounds in maths and science. So it all sparked with me having a conversation with one of the students at the time. So I'd always start my classes and ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up, And the response was quite shocking, just to show that they were not thinking much of themselves and the type of future that they could have, right? I then saw this as an opportunity to educate them in terms of what is out there, what is possible. And at that moment, then I realized that, my passion actually lies in helping others. Because you can help in so many ways.
In so many ways, definitely. And with what you have, right?
Yes.
Definitely with what you have.
Start with where you are.
Yeah. Then you study finance. Why finance?
Like I said, I've always had a passion for numbers. Yeah. And I had this big dream to be a chartered accountant.
Everyone did. Yes. I also had that dream at some point.
Yes, a very crazy dream. And then varsity quickly showed me that to get to that dream, there's a lot that needs to happen, And as you get older, your dreams change as well, right? Especially after doing more charity work. Then I realized that, okay, as much as I'm here and I need this, do I really need to do the full journey? How can I pivot? Then graduated and then, got into the tech space and worked for a tech company in their finance department. And that's where then the whole STEM exposure then
I love that because what you did is, as much as you were a finance graduate, but you were not you did not have sort of blinkers in terms of this is what I'm going to focus on, and also map out a career trajectory that is in the finance line. When you got exposure into the tech, you also saw, you've got a third eye, if I can call it that, a forecasting and seeing things before they come to reality, to say that I'm in the tech space, the future of tech is this direction. Maybe how can I then, align myself with my skills in order for me to reshape my career trajectory. So that, well done to you on that. Now you're in this tech space. How does corporate look like for you?
Corporate is looking very stressful at that point in time, hence why I then had to resign from my full-time position and actually pursue GirlCode on a full-time basis, and actually think of ways of growing the entity and then tapping into my other skills, which stem from, being super organized, finding gaps and being able to fill those gaps. And that's what, has helped me pivot in my career. And then obviously then getting exposed to technology, getting to learn about the tech space, getting to learn what software development is about and where the world is going.
Yeah. So I love that, because they say as an entrepreneur, one of the characters of an entrepreneur is curiosity.
Absolutely.
If you don't have curiosity and you are not able to explore, those ideas that look far-fetched, you're not yet there. We have to think outside of the box and think how we can contribute better in terms of where the industry is shaping or going to. Now, you leave corporate after how many years?
I'd been in corporate for about 5 years.
Yeah.
At the time when I left it. And I think I left it at the perfect time. And that was when, I then started to think about Silicon Valley. What is Silicon Valley? How about we build our own Silicon Valley in Africa? It would be lovely, for us. Why do we have to go overseas to experience all of these things? Why can't we then build our own? And like you said, start where you are, right? Hence why we then decided to start training these young girls to contribute towards the economy and build technology for South Africans. And you need women as well, to build technology in order for other women to consume it.
Because you are so right. So 5 years, what skills would you say you have learned in corporate that has shaped your journey today, or how you show up as an entrepreneur?
That anything is possible, and that you need to always have a learning spirit. You need to also always be willing to pivot. And there'll always be challenges. And you can be anything you want to be. Corporate definitely taught me that. And it also taught me that you can learn. Any skill, nothing is impossible as long as you're willing to learn.
As long as you've got the willingness to learn.
Yes.
Now you're starting GirlCode, GirlCode, which is a platform that teaches young women on how to code, AI, digitization, streamlining of processes, efficiencies, and all of that. So tell me now, you are in this dream with your co-founder, you're starting this. What does that look like at the beginning?
At the beginning, we just wanted to simply host an event and find out whether girls would be interested in attending our event. Then fast forward a couple of years later, we're like, what more can we do? Especially as an entrepreneur, you always want to do more. Especially when you spot another gap, right? Because after hosting the hackathons, then we realized, okay, there's actually another gap. These young girls, are not getting into the careers that they need to be getting into. They're not even aware of what is there. So what can we do to pivot them into these careers and get them exposed to what is out there? So that was us then trying to figure out what can we do. Hence then we decided to be, formalize and be an educational institution, get our accreditation. Then came the part of figuring out now the relevant, skills. The different tech stacks, especially because in software development, things are developing at such a fast rate.
Rapid rate,
Yes, what you learned last month may be relevant literally this month, So that's where we were at, and we're like, okay, no, we'll start, here, and then let's then find them job opportunities as well. There was another gap that we then realized that, very high youth unemployment rate in the country. We don't want to be an institution that's known for just training these young girls and then just leaving them
to the market.
Exactly, which is a reality in this country with a lot of training institutions, unfortunately. So we then partnered with different corporates to then be our employer partners to then absorb the girls that we have then, upskilled, just to ensure that we don't leave them skilled and just unemployed.
Unemployed, I think that's a very good strategy of and the way of looking at it, is to say, as much as I can equip you, give you the skill, and I'm assuming these are girls from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, right? But then how do I then contribute to the sustainability of what we've started? So you've kind of built a value chain, a full value chain of employability into a person coming from those backgrounds. So now you are in this, you are pushing the vision. What are some of the challenges that you're experiencing while you are running now your own business, and how did that shape you and make you see things maybe differently from how you saw them while you were employed?
Yes, I think one of the first challenges was being so young, in a male-dominated space. So it was the whole having to learn so many things, learn how to pivot very quickly. Because as you're aware, with entrepreneurship, you're constantly learning. It never stops. So that, as well as basically coming into a space and fighting imposter syndrome, and also constantly having to push yourself and believe that you actually can do this. I came into the IT background or STEM background without having a STEM background myself. Studied finance, coming into a whole new environment. So I found it quite challenging, but it was a challenge that I was willing to accept because as a person, I don't give up easily, and I always believe in always leveling up in everything that you do and always giving your all to things that you get into. And how it has shaped me as a leader is that, number one, always remember your why. Always remember your why and always lead with purpose. Because then people will naturally gravitate towards you as well as your leadership style. Because personally, I believe, as a leader, you're the best leader when you are breeding other leaders.
Of course, I love that. Yes.
So ensuring that your team are leaders in their own right and understand and own the roles that they contribute towards our organization, and understand that there's a bigger picture to what we do. We're here to change lives, essentially.
Yeah. So I often get, when I'm mentoring, young and aspiring entrepreneurs, especially in my field, whether it's training or human resources, etc. So people that are interested to get into the training space, right? What are some of the challenges that you had encountered as you were transitioning and getting accreditations? I know sometimes working with the SETAs can be quite a challenge in terms of material development, getting the facilitators, assessors. How do you pull everything so that it can connect and be a fully functional? Because oftentimes it looks easy on the eye, but once you actually get onto it, I mean the QMSs and all of that you have to curate, that reflects the direction that you want to take. And also working with a certain number of SETAs or a SETA, which is different, so how did you navigate that space? Because that's a question that I get all the time.
Yes, so that was a very, very tough space to navigate. Number one is finding the right qualification. Then it's actually applying for the accreditation, and then it's the process, and then understanding that the timelines don't necessarily match your timelines. Then you've got the pressure from sponsors because you've now gotten funding, and sponsors, you've given them a specific timeline. Accreditation is taking much longer. You cannot run a training program without your accreditation. So first time around, that was something that we had to navigate. But we quickly learned that, it helps getting help. So, we were able to get a consultant to then help expedite, help navigate. It's so
complex.
Much, there's so much documentation as well. So what was important was to get an expert in to basically let us know that these are the steps, and this is how we can get to where we need to get to sooner than later. And I'm very big on asking for help, especially from those who know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's important to leverage off others' experience, knowledge, as well as skills. So that one was a very tricky one, but the important thing was just read, research, and again get the help from the experts.
And I love the fact that you're emphasizing on reading and researching, because oftentimes, the people that I would meet with and then they would want to engage with me, you would find that as much as they've got an idea of what they want, but they lacked the research behind it. And I think it's very important so that even when you do ask for help, you steer the help in the direction because you already know what it is that you want to get out of it. How important is stakeholder engagement in that process and generally as an entrepreneur?
It is extremely vital, especially because everything is so time intensive and everybody is super busy. You need to show up prepared with all of your, or for all of your stakeholders, be it your mentees, be it your mentor as well, be it your clients, your sponsors. The biggest thing is understanding how to navigate each stakeholder accordingly, and understanding how you can give value to each stakeholder and how you can also gain value from your stakeholders. Because if you don't do that, it can stifle your growth, you know, just wasting time, even with mentorship. Hence why you have some people who have issues with mentorship and say, no, mentorship didn't work for me, purely because they didn't navigate mentorship properly and efficiently.
What does that look like, navigating mentorship properly and effectively? And you are right. I mean, I've had engagements where people are saying, no, this thing doesn't work for me. Or others are like, I prefer a structured mentorship program. Others, no, I'm cool with an unstructured one. And so how does that work within your own experience?
So personally, I believe in understanding oneself. So understand, where are your gaps? Why do you want to be mentored in the first place? And which areas of your life do you want to be mentored in? Because then it also allows you to approach the right mentor, right? And understand that this is the gap that they can fill in your career and build you up. So the first thing is know thyself. Know where you want to go, whether it's the next 6 months, year, or 5 years. And understand how your mentor can get you to your next point, because not all your mentors will serve, you know, the same purpose, and not all of them will give you, you know, the same amount of skills or experience or knowledge, right? But the biggest thing, it all starts with you. You need to understand where you're going, what you need, what you lack.
And which areas? I think that's important. Like, which areas do you want to be mentored on? And also putting a time frame on those areas. Because mentorship, it does not have to be never-ending mentorship. Because mentorship can be seasonal for a particular area, for a particular skill, for a particular expertise. So I think those are critical. So now, tell me, how does a young girl, right, from the village or from, you know, an underprivileged community engage with your institution, GirlCode?
Yeah, so how we have found some of our girls who come from villages is by going out into the villages, especially because unfortunately as a country, we know that infrastructure is still, you know, a problem, as much as technology has advanced so much, but they don't have access to social media to be able to like contact us via a website or contact us on LinkedIn or Instagram or engage with us there. So we then go out into the communities and, you know, encourage these girls to take a chance on themselves. And I just like to speak about one of the ladies who actually came from a village in Limpopo. She is now working in the UK.
Wow.
As a software
so that's your story.
engineer. Absolutely.
Wow. How long did that journey take?
Yeah, so she actually attended one of our hackathons. Yes, she actually attended one of our hackathons and decided to take a chance on herself, right? And this hackathon, basically, the purpose of it was to ensure that our girls get employment opportunities abroad from this hackathon. And she was one of the girls who showed up, and you know, it was such a quick and last minute thing, so it was so amazing for her to show up from another province and show up for herself and, you know, land a job in the UK and in a first world country as well, and not only change her life but the life of her family. You know, it's that generational change as well. But the biggest thing is for us as GirlCode as well to get into these communities and let these girls, these young ladies and girls know of what is possible and what is out there. And that's why also it's important for us to get these girls who were in the villages, get them back to share their journeys and their stories and bring the next girl up.
I think it's important. And I love your approach because you're not more on reactive, but you're also proactive. I mean, you go out and target the areas that you want to attract the girls that you want to attract. Because I believe that the institution has to be demographically represented, like in all spheres, in terms of communities, areas, etc. So well done on that, and well done on your girl that has gone to the UK.
Thank you.
So tell me, leadership in a male-dominated tech space. I mean, already you've touched on the challenges that you had encountered, that you had to learn, you had to research. I mean, I'm imagining a new industry altogether, with a finance background, you have no experience. Number one, like what a brave thing you did, and well done on yourself and your founder and your co-founder. But number one, I want to ask about what does leadership look like in that tech space? Number two, why is it important for young girls and boys to really bet on themselves?
I think the first thing is to believe that you belong in that space. It all starts with your self-confidence and showing up and being as assertive as possible without changing who you are. You know, as much as it was, or is rather, a male-dominated industry, you still show up in your femininity, you know, because we showed up and we're here to disrupt the space and also, you know, take over. You know, and level the playing field for those girls who are coming after us,
you.
right? You know, create an environment that young Black girls can thrive and be successful in. So the first thing is to bet on yourself. And also, I think the biggest thing also is understand what it takes to be there. As much as obviously when you're starting out, you know, you can't really, but again, it speaks to the research. Research the part, researching and then showing up prepared. You know, and also don't listen to the little voices of imposter syndrome of, oh, you're so young. Oh, you don't know anything about technology. You know, you need to understand and remember your purpose. I think for me, that was the biggest thing. Remember why you're here and remember everyone that is counting on you to show up in those rooms, you know, and get what you need out of those rooms. Yeah.
Would you say there are you know, individuals, whether male or female, that it played a critical part in walking the journey with you, in a form of mentoring, you support, any form of support or sponsoring even? Would you say that there are people that did that to you, and what did that look like?
Yes, so we had a very great mentor, Charmaine Huve, you know, who always pushed us and led us in the right rooms and led us to basically, you know, evolve as humans, you know, show up for ourselves, you know, let us learn on the ground right there, you know, because there's nothing better than learning, you know, while on the go, right? And then in terms of sponsorships, believe it or not, most of our sponsors were actually males.
Wow.
We've had a lot of allyship from males, which is great, right?
Which is great,
because we do need that allyship in order
and I think it's important when we talk about gender representation, right? We're talking about how do men create space for women to thrive and for women to and men to create tables, right, and seats for women to sit in, so that women can then come in and pull other women as they're coming in. So I think it's very important. It's not a gender thing, but I think with what we're driving with transformation in South Africa and globally, by the way, when it comes to the gender gap, men has to create the space for us because they are already there.
Exactly, and allow us to also show up in our femininity, and not necessarily change and, you know, try be a man as well. For me, that's the biggest thing, right? Because a lot of women get that wrong. Once they get into leadership roles, they feel like they need to change themselves and construct soft, can't be emotional, you know. But that male allyship really, you know, it's done so much for us as an organization to have, you know, people who are the opposite gender and actually see the gap and also say, you know what, we want to fight this with you. We want to make the change with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Failure, resilience, and I guess impact. What does that look like for you now? You've been running the business for how long?
For over 10 years.
For over 10 years, I mean. Like, wow, girl. Congratulations on that. So over 10 years, you are now in the tech space, in the STEM space, and your business has a high level of social impact because, I mean, you're training young people. What does failure look like, and where do you now start to realize that I am now running a business? I am now in the thick of it. And how do you then come out of that? What are some of the failures that you had to encounter along the way? And how do you then become resilient, or how did you become resilient?
I think some of the failures would include getting into the training space and wanting to do that at scale before even, you know, getting your feet wet and, starting to pilot with reasonable numbers. I think that was one of our biggest failures. The second one also was not doing a proper audit of funders, right? Especially in a situation where you've got one funder who's funding like over 60% of your revenue. That is super risky. Obviously, I know that now, years later, that because as soon as that one funder pulls out, then the whole business collapses, right? So that was the second biggest learning. And then I'd say the third one is learning to pivot early when you see the red flags quickly. Don't try to fight the system, and it's okay also, right? To pivot and adapt to how the industry is moving and how funders are moving and how the needs of those that you serve are changing as well. So the biggest thing is pivot sooner than later.
Love that. What is the future of African leadership, especially African women leadership in the STEM space?
Ooh,
what does that look like for you?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think for me, it looks like having, young Black female leaders opening up opportunities for the younger generation. For me, it's always been about giving back and be the change that you want to see. And that's the beauty of being a woman, right? We're nurturers. We naturally take care of others and naturally also bring up others with us. So we're quite intentional with, putting that out to our girls and into the universe. Personally, for me, I just feel like female African leaders need to breed other leaders by bringing them forward and also showing young Black girls that anything is possible. You can literally be anything you want to be. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you know and what you don't know. You can always learn, especially because knowledge now is available pretty much everywhere. It's just about how you decide to use it and how you decide to, take up these opportunities that are available.
Love that. So tell me, what does the future for GirlCode look like?
Yes.
In the next 5-10 years, what's exciting? What are you working on? What are the big projects? Or maybe let's talk about the big projects that you've worked with, so that people can understand. Because I understand the scale of your business, but I don't think others can understand the scale of your business. What have you worked on, and what does the future look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Absolutely. So we've got a very big, audacious goal to reach 10 million women across Africa by 2030.
Love that.
So how that looks like so far. So after the success of hosting the largest all-female hackathon in South Africa, which is what started, GirlCode and sparked everything, we then, as of last year, branched out to other African countries.
Which one are those? Share with us, please.
Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana. I'm forgetting one. Botswana as well. So we hosted a Pan-African, hackathon with having the winners come out of Tanzania. So now the change is not just within a South African context, but across Africa as well. And what does that look like, or how does that feed into the future of GirlCode? Well, essentially having Africa competing on an international level with your USAs, your European countries, and have, young Black African girl coders building technology for the use of the world, and not just Africa, but also bringing the technology, building the technology to make Africa a better place, and for us to essentially build our own Silicon Valley. So we can have other people come to our Silicon Valley here.
Yes. And that will have an African context.
Exactly.
Definitely, with African resources, African expertise. Yes. That would be great. I am so looking forward to solving African problems. I love that. That would be great. Where can people find you? I think we are nearing the end of the conversation. Where can people find you? I think this is also an opportunity to call out for investors that may want to invest in your business or funders. How does that happen? Just talk us through that.
Yes. So on LinkedIn, it's my name, Tinyiko Simbine, on LinkedIn. And then in terms of our company for investors, you can visit our website on www.girlcode.co.za. And then we're across all social media at girlcode _ZA.
GirlCode _ZA. And I think the last one for me is what legacy do you want to leave behind? I mean, I'm assuming that eventually you'll pivot to other things, get exposed to other things, but what legacy do you want to leave behind, especially when it comes to GirlCode institution?
Yes, I think the legacy that I would like to leave behind is basically leaving behind a group of young leaders who are ensuring that, technology is being built in order to make Africa a better place.
Wow. Technology is being built in order to make Africa a better place. I love that. So thank you so much. We are at the end of our conversation, and thank you to everyone that has tuned in. Such an insightful conversation with Tinyiko Simbine, who is the co-founder of GirlCode Institution, founded with, I guess, a dear friend of yours from varsity. So well done, ladies, and you are doing exceptionally well. I do watch your work. I see the work that you are doing and never stop. I mean, it touches my heart all the time when I see you in a classroom with young women, right, that are aspiring to be, tech gurus one day. So please keep up the work and never stop, even if sometimes it's challenging, but you have to keep on keeping on. So thank you so much for tuning in, and that's the end of the conversation. Until I meet you again in our next episode. Thank you for watching.
Africa, rise today.
Thank you for listening and thank you for tuning in. So we are available on the podcast, Apple Podcasts or any other streaming podcast. Please do comment, subscribe on both the podcast as well as our YouTube channel, which is Africa Rising Leadership. Until we see you again next time. Thank you.